Did you know that Shinobu was going to become the Flame Hashira? Or that there were more than 9 Hashira in each generation? I'm Mr. Phoenix, and these are 15 facts about the Hashira that I bet you didn't know. And make sure to watch till the end, because the last 3 will blow your mind. Starting off with everyone's favorite Hashira, Muichiro Tokito. We all know that Muichiro is an absolute airhead and doesn't seem to remember a lot of things. Due to his forgetfulness, Muichiro often forgets to introduce himself during missions, and multiple records note that people didn't even know he was a Hashira until the mission was over. That's funny and adorable at the same time. Speaking of fan favorites, did you know that Giyu Tomioka, the current water Hashira, was the first and only water Hashira to invent his own breathing form? That's right, normally water breathing only has 10 forms, but Giyu was so talented that he invented his own 11th form, called Dead Calm. In this form, Giyu enters a state of absolute calm and uses perfectly timed sword swings to hit the incoming attacks at their weakest points, nullifying them. He even used this move in his fight against Rui and Akaza, and was even praised by Akaza for doing so. Speaking of Giyu, do you know there is a secret reason why Sanemi hates him so much? You see, Sanemi was deeply in love with Shinobu's elder sister Kanai, but we all know that she was killed in a fight against Upper Moon 2 Doma, which absolutely devastated Sanemi from the inside. But what does Giyu have to do with all of this? You see, the mission Kanai was killed on, Giyu was supposed to go as reinforcements to save her, but Giyu's Kasugai Crow, who was guiding him, actually lost his way due to being extremely old and forgetful. This made Giyu arrive late, and by the time he did, Kanai was already dead. But when Sanemi heard this news, he entirely blamed Giyu for not being able to save Kanai, although it was the fault of his crow. That's why he carries such bitterness in his heart for Giyu. Another person who doesn't like Giyu is Obanai, but there is a secret fact about him as well. You see, when Obanai escaped from the snake demon that was going to eat him, he was attacked by the same demon on his way to escape. At that time, he was saved by Kyojuro's father, who was the previous Flame Hashira. Obanai was then taken in by him and was raised alongside Kyojuro and Senjuro. But despite growing up around flame breathing users, he went on ahead to master serpent breathing, which is actually an offshoot of water breathing. This means that Obanai started out slaying demons using water breathing, which is kinda odd since he grew up living alongside the Flame Hashira lineage. Speaking of the Flame Hashira, did you know that Rengoku was such a genius that he was able to become a Hashira solely by simply reading the Flame Hashira manual, since his father completely refused to train him after his mother's death? Not only that, but his father also tore up the entire book out of anger. But by the time he did that, Rengoku already had the entire thing memorized. But unfortunately, that knowledge ended up dying with him. The next hidden fact is actually on Shinobu. If you didn't know, Shinobu was an excellent calligrapher. She had such good handwriting that many official Hashira reports are actually written in her delicate and artistic calligraphy. This is further proved to us in the Hashira meeting to plan out the Hashira training. If you notice carefully, you would see that even here, Shinobu is the one writing the details. That's honestly very surprising, since Shinobu is also a doctor, and doctors are usually known for their terrible handwriting. Now, did you know that despite the Hashira being the strongest demon slayers in the core, they are not allowed to act independently when it comes to hunting for Muzan? Records say a few Hashira have tried in earlier generations and have ended up dead, and due to their reckless deaths, it led to the demon slayer core nearly collapsing. Speaking of the Hashira dying, Obanai and Mitsuri confessed their love for each other and died hugging one another, but Obanai was hugging Mitsuri so tightly that even after death, their bodies were not separable, and that's why they were even buried together. This was a way of honoring their connection and love for one another. Let's talk about Obanai's best friend, Sanemi. We all know that Sanemi has the rarest Marechi blood running through his veins. Marechi blood is an extremely rare type of blood that is hundreds of times more intoxicating to demons than that of a normal human. The scent and taste are so overwhelming that even high-ranking demons can lose composure, become distracted, and get completely fixated on the person who has it. In the Demon Slayer universe, only one person among millions has it. But Sanemi's Marechi blood is something even rarer than that. His blood is described as being of an extremely high grade, so potent that even Upper Moon 1 and Muzan himself are visibly affected by its scent. And the rarity of this is so insane that it is considered the rarest of the rare Marechi bloods. We all know that Muichiro and Gyomei were the 2 demon slayers who were able to become Hashira within just 2 months of training. But which Hashira took the longest to become one? Well, there were actually not one, but 2 Hashira who took the longest. Those were Rengoku and Obanai. It is estimated that it took both of them roughly about 4 to 5 years of training and missions before qualifying as Hashira, which still is pretty impressive considering how short the lifespan of demon hunters is in this series. And just for reference, it took Tanjiro a whole 2 years of constant training under a former Hashira just to become a basic demon slayer. The reason why it took so much time for Rengoku and Obanai to become Hashira could be because Rengoku had no proper guidance over him, and Obanai was developing his breathing style to adapt to his fragile body. Did you know when Genya was sliced by Kokushibo and was about to die in the Infinity Castle? That was the time when Sanemi broke down and told Genya how much he loved and cared about him. Sanemi even begged God to not take his younger brother away from him. But the sad fact is that Genya was not able to hear his brother's true feelings towards him since his ears had disintegrated by that point. So Genya thought that Sanemi was simply shouting at him once again, where instead Sanemi was expressing his care for his brother. While Gyomei was the quickest to become a Hashira, he had to face some difficulties when becoming one. You see, before Gyomei, the core did not consider blind or disabled candidates suitable for the position of Hashira. That is why even Jigoro, the former Thunder Hashira, had retired after losing one of his legs in a battle. But after seeing what Gyomei was capable of, despite being blind, the Corps was actually forced to rewrite the rules and admit Gyomei for the Hashira level position. Did you know that there is a secret reason why Tengen is so resistant to poison? In the entertainment district, we saw that Tengen was still standing and fighting Gyutaro, despite being heavily poisoned. This poison resistance of his actually comes from two places. The first is due to the upbringing he had as a shinobi. Part of his training involved exposure to poisons and toxins from a young age. And another secret reason is that his favorite food is raw pufferfish, which contains one of the most deadly poisons on Earth, and if not prepared properly, it could result in poisoning the person who consumes it. So these two things combined are what resulted in Tengen developing his strong poison resistance. Finally are the last 3 facts that y'all have been waiting for. There was actually a time when more than 9 active Hashira could exist at once. In the earliest generations of the Demon Slayer Corps, there were over a dozen Hashira because a lot of breathing styles exist, so there existed one Hashira for each style. But whenever a Hashira died, it was extremely difficult to find individuals who were specifically the master of that particular breathing style to occupy the empty Hashira position. That is why the maximum number of Hashira were later reduced to 9 in each generation. Did you know that Mitsuri's favorite animal is the cat, and she even keeps a lot of pet cats with her, and she is inspired by them to such an extent that even some of her love breathing attacks are named after her feline friends. The cat themed techniques are 3rd form, cat love shower, 5th form, swaying love, and 6th form, cat-legged winds of love. This is so adorable to think that even the strongest fighters in the Demon Slayer Corps are so sensitive towards animals. And here is the final fact. Did you know that Shinobu was supposed to be the Flame Hashira? That's right. In the early drafts of Demon Slayer, Shinobu was meant to be trained under the Flame Hashira lineage, specifically by Rengoku, and learn flame breathing instead of insect breathing. She was then meant to replace Rengoku as the next Flame Hashira after his death. But this idea was later scrapped out of the story, since her body was too weak and fragile, and she was incapable of beheading demons. Plus, she had her own place and importance in the story, so the role of Rengoku's apprentice was given to Mitsuri instead. That was it for this video. Make sure to subscribe for more such videos, and watch this other video, which the algorithm thinks will be the best for you. See you in the next one.